Yeah, you mentioned union and the theology of union being a game changer for you, as it was
Totally.
for me. Can you go a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah, here I am in college, um, studying theology, good college up in Canada. And actually is the one my parents went to years and years and years before we went to the mission field. And and I got a hold of uh, tapes by Malcolm Smith. I don't even know how I got a hold of him, but he's this Brit who started preaching, street preaching, I think when he was 12 years old or something like that. And it was union that shattered his world. And so I got these cassette tapes and they were talking about union. And I bawled. I so resonated because inside the words that he was saying was the possibility of relief, of non-performance, but participatory.
Yes. Yep.
And and I mean, Malcolm really was so funny. I was in St. Louis one time and I get a phone call and this person goes, "Is this Paul Young?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah." He says, "Well, this is Malcolm Smith. You don't know me, but," and he's funny. And he says, "But I really wanted to call and tell you how much I loved your book." I said, "Malcolm, the reason you loved this book is because you're everywhere in it."
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but thank you. And but no, and so we became friends. But which is such a gift, to become friends with somebody who had that kind of impact on your life. But that's really what turned the light on. And I could then see that that light had been shining back into my life for a long time. I'd run into union, but I couldn't see it. Whether it was A.W. Tozer, which is part of my denomination, or, you know, uh, here and there and everywhere was this. I think, especially in a lot of the Eastern mystics, you would find the idea of union without necessarily the relationality, or the personal, um, the necessity of the personal relationship. Because I'm not really interested in trying to build a relationship with gravity or some kind of divine force. Like what what the crap? That's I don't get any response. You know, there's no give and take here. There's no growing and learning and diving deeper into personhood. So we are that union, and the early church was so good about this. And by the way, when I wrote the shack, I thought I was pretty much alone in terms of trying to coalesce this stuff. And it wasn't until later that friends who happened to be like actual theologians and were skilled in early church theology began to open up that whole world to me. And I'm going like, dang, this is everywhere. And but the early church was like, if you do not exist in union with the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you will instantly lapse into non-being. That's Athanasius,
Wow.
others. Yeah, your actual existence depends on union, whether you're aware of it or not. And most of us, in ongoing sense, are not aware of it. And it is work. I mean, this uh, to be able to hear, to be able to hear truth speak to us. 'Cause truth is Jesus, and speak to us in love, and to begin to incrementally apprehend it. And it is an incremental process. It's just we would love quick fixes, but that's not. The Holy Spirit knows us so well that the Holy Spirit is the only one that can move us in the direction of wholeness without damaging us. And
Mm.
we want quick fixes. Because why? Because we think that if we were just fixed, then the things that we would want would be more accessible to us rather than living moment by moment in response to the world as it comes to us. And, then our healing becomes a means to an end. And God doesn't do that. God never uses anything as a means to an end. He's a redeeming genius who shows up in what has been brought to the table and turns it into bread and wine.
Yeah, he'll go into the prison that you call home, like you said. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The
Yep.
the dance can even unfold in our own prisons that
Oh my
we
God.
construct for ourselves.
Yeah. Well, that's the
Yeah.
beauty of union, right? Who's in
Yes.
there with us? It's always the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And that's part of filling up the sufferings of Christ. Yeah. He continues to
Mm,
suffer in us in the journey of our own maturing and
yeah.
and never is disappointed. Grieved. God grieves, but is never disappointed. Because to be disappointed, God would have to have an expectation. And expectation means that you don't know something, right? And God knows us thoroughly and completely. Um, and so we're never a disappointment. Now, we are a disappointment to ourselves because of expectations that we should have been somewhere we're not and all that kind of stuff, and then condemn ourselves and shame ourselves and do all that kind of stuff. But even dealing with that is slow and incremental and necessary. And we have to learn not to divide and separate ourselves more. And and you know, so and I believe in hell, but not like that.
Yeah.
I believe the hell of your own choices. I believe that the fire of God's love that is absolutely determined to burn everything in us away that is not of love's kind. Anything that is contrary to the nature of that union and that indwelling.
You're gonna have to say that one again. I've heard you say it before, and it's just as profound every time.
Yeah. Yeah. The basic idea is the burning bush, right? That Moses turned aside from because he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He was seeing a bush in which all the dead wood was being burned away, exposing only that which was living. Well, guess what? God is a consuming fire. Where does the consuming fire live? In me. For what purpose? To burn away all the dead wood so that everything that is fully human, fully alive, only of love's kind, will be exposed. Because only in that is our complete freedom, which is the intention of God, determination of God, is to free us and not to then separate, to free us to experience the union that is already ours and has always been.